passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
Welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hour. We are back after the World Championships, and handball is already back after the World Championship. I am Alex Kulash, and I am joined, of course, by Chris O'Reilly.
Hello, Alex.
And always last in these introductions, Brian Campion.
Yes, always last. But you save the best for last sometimes. So you sound a little bit emotionally tired from the World Championship, Chris and Alex. So you can't imagine how the players must be feeling having to go out there and play Rewe Final Four qualification matches so soon after. But look, when you sign up to the Bundesliga, you sign up to the Bundesliga. You sign up to the German. Playing in Germany, you know what you're going to get. There's no free lunches. You're not playing the Polish league here.
But not even Germany. It was Denmark that had the first big game. That was Aalborg, who played GOG just 4 days after half of the players on the court were playing in the finals weekend. It's crazy. Aalborg won that game, which is really good for them. They reclaimed the top spot in the Danish Handball League, but Germany just had to one-up them. The Bundesliga had to go, you know what? A regular match isn't enough. Let's force in some extra time into these players' legs.
Can I just say before we go into the German Cup quarterfinals, Simon Pitlick still scored 10 goals for GOG against Aalborg.
He scored 90. It took 19 shots. That is a youth body. That is like a young body that is capable of doing that a couple of days after playing a full 3-week championship.
Give the man a break.
That really is big dick energy when you're coming back and taking 19 shots after a World Championship. You're feeling pretty hot when you're doing that. I'd say had he not played the World Championship, there's no way he was taking 19 shots. That's a swell downstairs, Yeah.
And of course, in this episode, the main topic will be an interview with Maciek Wojs, of a Polish journalist who gave us a little bit of insight into what's going on with Kielce, their financial situation, their beef with the city, and their kind of goals for the future. So we had a great chat with Maciek about that. That will come a little bit later in the episode. And before we go into broader chat, I do want to thank everyone on Patreon who has stuck around after World Championship. Thanks for staying around. We're coming up with plenty of ideas to bring you exclusive content throughout the year. We're going to do some podcasts on leagues, dive into some of the big leagues in the world, give you that for anyone who's signed up. Also, the Discord server is still going. Lots of chat in there. And Brian is cooking up some fantastic feature episodes that we'll try to get throughout the year. So do stick around on Patreon. And if you're not signed up, it's only $3 a month. And the dollar has now dropped in value over the last couple of weeks. So it is less than €3 now. So, it's an absolute bargain. Get in now before the Federal Reserve brings it up.
Better make it a $9 membership then, just in case.
It could be a great investment if that $9 membership, that dollar keeps plunging. If the US government decides on the Federal Reserve in the next couple of weeks, it could be a great investment. So sign up for $9, which could be worth just €3 in a couple of weeks.
That's really no good to us. But are we gonna do a live show at some point for all of our members as well? Should we, put that as a carrot out there on like a live show on Zoom or something?
I was thinking a show that I like to watch about because I'm a big Leeds United fan. They have a bit of a phone-in show, so I thought maybe we could have a bit of a phone-in show, giving our Discord and our Patreon fans a chance to maybe come in and give their 2 cents on certain topics. and we can have it going live on whatever topics, and you can just maybe chime in and
sports talk radio.
Yeah, a little phone in.
Like it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, so do sign up. If you're signed up, you can share your opinions on what you want to see. We do have a lot coming up, and again, we thank you for your support.
Yes.
Speaking of support, I watched that Kiel Magdeburg game, and I just have no idea how these Kiel fans can just shout "Te have" for 70 minutes constantly. That is just it's a true miracle. It's a true beauty of the sport, but I probably couldn't handle it if I was there.
This was the quarterfinal that was in Hamburg, right? So it was in the Barclays Arena. They moved it to Hamburg for the big occasion, and I'm guessing they had a record crowd.
Yeah, 12,500 people. Wow. It was. I'm not sure if it was sold out, but it was very full.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And in the end, it was Magdeburg who came out on top, 36-35 after extra time. But they really tried their best to lose the game.
My. Yeah, because they had a 5-goal lead at the break, right, 1914. And it looked like they basically had it all done and dusted. So up by a goal with, what was it, about 35 seconds left, penalty in hand.
Even before that, they took a timeout 4 minutes before the end when they were 3 goals up. And Magdeburg's coach, what's his name?
Bennett Wiegert.
Magdeburg's coach, Bennett Wiegert, started giving us talk, said, "It's crunch time, 4 minutes left, we're 3 goals up, we're in a comfortable situation, we have the ball." And they somehow managed to throw it away for 3 goals up and the ball with 4 minutes left. And yeah, as you say, with 35 seconds left, they had an even bigger chance to win.
But Kai Smits taking the penalty, who had a fantastic game, by the way. I saw some tweets during the game, people lauding his performance, saying, you know, who needs Omar Ingi Magnusson? Kai Smits is there. But Kai Smits up against Landin, and Landin made a really good save. It was good penalty, to be fair, but Landin made the save, and Kiel went up the other end to force extra time. At that point, did you feel like, you know, Kiel having, you know, stormed their way back, got that last second equaliser, classic ball dropped into the line by Sanders Augustin into Pekkeler, that they were going to take it from there? Like, all the momentum seemed to be with them. They were at home. It was their game to lose, right?
Again, I was impressed by Christiansen. And despite the fact that Magdeburg somehow threw it away, him and Kai Smits were just relentless. So Christiansen got really angry towards the end because there was a couple of times where he actually got through past the defender, but the referee whistled a little bit early, so it happened twice to them. So they were doing it. They were kind of closing out the game. They just got a little bit unlucky. They missed that penalty with 35 seconds left. And then, to be honest, I wasn't sure if it was a penalty for Kiel in that last second. Pekkeler had quite a clear shot. I'm not sure if it was really a penalty. So I think there was a lot of anger in this Magdeburg team. That it wasn't like, it's not one of those turnarounds where you're throwing away the ball or you're playing badly. They just had these kind of slightly bad decisions from their players as well, a bad miss, but they were just so angry going into that extra time that I wasn't surprised when they pulled through. But I suppose the biggest thing that happened in that game was Magnus Augstrup getting what looked like a pretty severe knee injury. It was a non-contact knee injury. We know what those look like. He went down, and that kind of sucked the life out of the game a little bit. To be honest, I don't think anyone cared about the game anymore in that extra time. I think Magdeburg got through in the end, but really horrific for Segstrup. And it does bring up the question of, you know, should the players at least get a little bit of a break after a championship? Like, playing extra time. Southstroke basically played every minute of the game after a full championship, and that had to be a factor in the injury.
I think it was you on our account, right, who tweeted this like pretty much this morning. You're like, Kiel play Magdeburg today for a place in the Reva Cup Final Four. Big game for both clubs, but I can't help thinking big games like that are way too soon after a curling world championship. And so it proved to be there. For Southstroke in particular, who, such a young player who seems to physically be so well intact, but had a big world championship in terms of his output. And yeah, as you said, in that game as well, and it really didn't look good. He looked devastated out on the sideline when he was laid down and had his knee iced up. We've spoken about this with experts as well in the past, with Caleb Gain on as well, talking about kind of the the rhythm that the players get into with these kind of things. And you have to wonder, like in a situation like that, when players in the rhythm of for 2.5 weeks playing every second day basically over and over again, that Southstroke and the boys were out celebrating for a day or two after the game and basically had gone from 100 to 0 and then had to get back into training and prepare for this game. No game for like another 3 days, that it puts them in a completely different rhythm to what they were used to for the last few weeks. So I wonder if something like that is also to be considered in injury prevention afterwards. So yeah, maybe another week or so is necessary, or at least a few more days to get into a proper build up for these games.
Yeah, but considered by whom? Is it the clubs then themselves that should say, okay, we might sacrifice a place at the River Final Four just to rest some of our star players? Or is it a case of, like, for example, Rasmus Boysen retweeted a tweet that he sent, I think it was a year or two ago, where he was talking about changes he wanted to see in handball, and one of those was that he wanted to see a Euro every 4 years instead of every 2. So where do you put the emphasis on who should make those changes? Is it on the clubs, or are you going to say more, is it on the EHF, IHF, that they should maybe tone back some of the major events, or what do you think?
I think you made a good point there about the coaches having to make a decision here as well. And in this case, it's the fact that it was such a big game that was played. If this was a Bundesliga game against some random team, I know there's no easy games in the Bundesliga, but it gives the opportunity for the coach to consider that, to give the players a better rest, maybe play half the game, to really focus on the players. But it is the Final Four, the German Cup it's a big thing, and having that huge game there it's part of, I don't know, it's a bit of money grabbing, I think, from the leagues, basically saying that there's the World Championships and the excitement is at the highest level after World Championships, so we're going to put on the biggest games. I think same in Aalborg versus GOG. I think that was part of the reasoning, that we're going to have this big game because there's going to be lots of attention. Everyone's going to go there. But that's detrimental to the players. And that, I think, is the biggest issue here. To be honest, I think the players should really get like 2 weeks off, maybe like 10 days without a game. Just let them go back to training. Let them enjoy themselves for a little bit. And those extra, 3-4 days won't mean too much for a schedule or for a league, but it might make a difference for the players.
We also saw in the French Cup happened as well over the weekend. So all the big leagues and cups are coming in with important games. I think in particular the French and German cups, because as you said, at this stage of the season, they're huge games, they're knockout games, and there's no way the clubs are going to play a second team or play a second string team when you're one step away from, particularly in Germany, the Cup Final Four, which is such a big occasion. So it's all well and good planning these things, on paper from the federations and the national league side, but when things like this happen, you have to definitely bear in mind that the players are just humans. And yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it probably if to this extent if there wasn't an injury like this, but it did happen in extra time, and that's where it really sticks out. If it happened early in the game, then that could be another thing. But having these players play then an extra 10 minutes at the end, maybe just go to penalties. This is my takeaway from the last few weeks. Just go to penalties.
Yeah.
We don't need up to 20 more minutes of extra time in this sport.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there maybe should be a bit of understanding, especially coming off events like that, where I don't know if you maybe you can't come up with a rule like that you just decide to enact penalties, because who decides that? But I don't know. I understand that federations themselves, they don't want to limit the amount of world and European championships that they have, because it's a huge event, and I feel the hunger is still there for definitely the hardcore fans anyway, to have a Euro every 2 years and a World Championship every 2 years. But there's no doubt that it would definitely help the players if it was a bit more staggered, maybe every 3 or every 4 years. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of complaining going on, so you have to trust that the players, and a lot of injuries happening. So something needs to change, but I don't know where it's going to come from.
A bit of extra time is needed for the players. In this case, that's a very simple solution to all of this, that you just take an extra week before let people relax.
Yeah, but maybe Chris's suggestion is actually a really good one. Actually, just no more extra time.
Yeah,
you just don't do it anymore. Like, what's the point in having extra time when a game, especially a game that's so fast paced like handball? I understand it more in football, maybe, where there's just so few chances in a game, and you can, if you're playing left back, geez, sometimes you could really chill depending on the setup of another team. But in handball, there's no chill on the court whatsoever. And I think maybe sacrificing extra time. Is there a handball fan out there who's going, extra time, love this? They're always thinking it's going to go to penalties anyway.
Extra time. That's my favorite.
I don't know. I think at a Final Four, yes. But like qualifications for the Final Four, maybe not.
Yeah, you play 60 minutes. Like, that's, if you can't figure out who's the better team after that, do penalties. Yeah. Anyway, Congratulations to Magdeburg. They're
not to take away from what they achieved.
They managed to get through. Fair play to them, and they're going to be in the German Cup Final Four with Flensburg, who also went to extra time to beat Wetzlar. Rhein-Neckar Leuven, who beat Hannover Bergdorf, and Lemgo, who seem to be the cup experts in Germany. They always seem to get to the Final Four, so they're back in there. They beat Gummersbach in the quarterfinal. So I think it's a good time to head over to Poland, shall we?
I think everyone in the handball community has been closely watching the situation in Kielce. I think it's fair to say Kielce are probably the second best club in the world at the moment. I think it's fair to say, obviously in Polish fans' eyes, probably the best club in the world, but they're definitely up there. And there was a lot of talk and news coming out of Poland that the club was struggling financially, that one of their sponsors was pulling away, and they would lose about 33% of their funding, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, when you pull out 33%, you all of a sudden go from a very top club to not being able to afford your top players, which is a huge jump back then for a club like Kielce. So we got in touch with Maciek Wojs, who's a pretty prominent name on Twitter, especially with regards to Polish handball, and we spoke to him about the whole situation in Kielce, and he outlined in lots of detail of what's going on exactly in Kielce at the moment.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast. Maciek Wojs, a journalist from Poland who's going to speak to us a little bit about the Kielce situation ongoing. But first of all, welcome to the show, Maciek, and thank you so much for taking some time out of your holiday to join us on this podcast.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor for me to be here. First of all, I have to say that I'm really sorry for my English, because I haven't been speaking English for on a daily basis for a long time. So probably I will make many mistakes. So I'm really sorry to everybody.
No, Maciek, I was just about to say, Maciek, that you have very good English. I was just about to compliment you on your English, so no worries there. So talk to us exactly, what's the situation now at the moment in Kielce? I think from an outsider perspective, I think we all know the headlines. We all know that Kielce seem okay until the end of the season. But maybe you could take us back to the beginning and when things started to or there was sounds of things going wrong with Kielce and what was going on exactly there.
It's a very difficult topic because I guess that many things are not known for people, even for journalists in Poland. And we kind of get used to Kielce having problems through past 5 or 4 years, and I guess that that time, last 4 years, when they had problems, I guess that everyone here in Poland thought that it's because of the fact that they made some bad decisions, or because of the Bertus Servas's company having some financial problems, and that was the problem for the whole club. But right now, I guess it's something. It's in some way it's a different, because the situation of the club, financial situation, was good, and the contract with Łomża was. I'm not sure because I haven't checked that, but I guess it was one of the best, one of the biggest contracts in the history of Polish sport. They got a lot of money from them, and the whole situation of the club was pretty good. But all of a sudden, the decision came from the Vanpur, and then they decided to step down. And it's not the Kielce didn't make anything wrong to be in that situation right now. So that's the first thing that's different between those years. But I'm not even sure how it will end, because in those past years I was pretty sure that even though they have problems, even though they started some fundraising in the internet with fans and etc., I somehow knew that the everything will end happily. But right now I'm not quite sure about that, because it's a different situation, it's a different moment of the year, and everything looks really strange, because first, like in November, Bertus Servas said that everything for the end of the season is okay, even though Łomża steps down and we have money. Any player will want to go away, so we will stay with this team. But right now everything's changed, and they made a statement in which they wrote that they decided not to step down from the Champions League, but they don't know how many players will stay till the end of the season. So we got some different messages, like in 2 months' time. So it's really hard to be sure what's going on in Kielce right now.
As you said, we have been so used in the last couple of seasons to hear news like this. We covered it a couple of years ago when the fundraising began, but there was always kind of a feeling that maybe they're just trying to put some pressure on the local government or the city, or trying to get some additional support for the club, and that at the end of the day, as you said, everything would turn out okay. Is there anything in particular that makes you feel like, as you said, it feels different this time and a lot more uncertainty? Are there some aspects that you can tell us about that make it seem so different for you?
Yeah, so first of all, there's a conflict between the club and Bogdan Venta, who's a mayor of Kielce. So that's the first fact. And the second one is that I've spoke to some guys from the marketing of Kielce's team, in January during the World Championship. And they told me that it's very difficult to find a new sponsor right now because of the time of the year. So it's the beginning of the year. In a lot of companies, no one's thinking about giving money to any sport team right now. It's too early for that. They do not have time because they have to make decisions. They have to tell players if they can check for any other teams. But any company wants to give them the decision about giving them money like in 2, 3, or 4 weeks. It's a long process. So that's why it's very difficult, and it's also very difficult situation financially in Poland right now. There's high inflation. There's the energy goes. The prices of the energy went very, very high at the beginning of the year. So for the companies, that they're not in the situation right now to search to search for clubs to give them money. They search how they can spend less money. So that's the problem, and that's why I know that Kielce were searching for sponsors outside Poland, because here they couldn't find anyone who would give them like 4 or 5 million zlotys, which they were which they need to balance the budget right now. So they were looking outside Poland. There were some talks, and right now there are some talks with negotiations with some sponsors, but it's not like that it will be decided in few days. That's why they wrote in a statement that the decision will be made at the end of the March. They had to give themselves a time for those negotiations. So that's why it's difficult. And also, I know that because of the conflict with Bogdan Venta and the city, one particular negotiations broke down because of that in media there are some publications, negative publications about the club, about the city, about the conflict, and this company didn't want to be engaged in anything like that. So many factors right now decide why Kielce are in this situation.
One of the things that came out of this news was a whole barrage of transfer rumors, just because Kielce has such a wide squad, a lot of players that have moved over from kind of international clubs coming into the club. So, of course, the biggest one was the Dushibayev family and the offer to pick Szeged, but Remili, Karlek, Marito, Nahi, and Wolf were all rumoured to be looking for different clubs. Have you, with the kind of decision that at least that to the end of the season, Kielce is going to stay intact, do you expect any of these players to actually move? Is there any kind of traction on any of them, or is it kind of on ice until a further decision is made?
I guess, but it's only I'm only guessing that, because Kielce were putting in those statements or in the social media some really strong words that the future of the club is uncertain, and etc. It's not the future of the club we're talking about right now, because they're not losing like the whole sponsors and the whole budget. They lost like 33% of it. So it's not the end of the club. It's not the end of the handball in Kielce. But I guess that it's they made it. They wanted to make it that way to sound it like it's the end of the handball in Kielce if they won't find a sponsor, because it put the pressure on Venta, on some sponsors in negotiations, or the sponsors they have right now. So that was something that they wanted to do, and I guess that some of the rumors are also made by the club. I'm not sure how many. I do not believe, for example, that Morito has an offer from Barcelona, because of the fact that there's Gomez and Jans there. So it's something that I don't know why he would go there, or why Barcelona would want him. But I know for sure that Dushibayev's family got an offer from Big Szeged, and that Talent Dushibayev got also an offer from the Szeged that they will give him 2 million euros for the transfers during the transfer season, before the next season. So it's really it's amazing offer for him and for the whole family. It also, I know for sure that Dylan Nai got an offer from Szeged. I know that Remy Lee got an offer from Veszprem and from Kiel. I know that not from Kiel, from Veszprem and from PSG. Wolf got an offer from Kiel. So I guess that those the biggest stars, those international stars, not Polish one, but the international stars. There are many clubs which will want to have them in the team, but I'm not sure how many of them will go away from Kielce, because everything depends right now on the decision of Talent Dushibayev, because he's the reason why they are here. It's not because of the fact that they may like Kielce, or they may feel good in Poland, or etc. It's the Dushibayev who's the reason why they are here. And if he will go to Szeged, it will be hard for them for the players like Nedim Remili to stay here. Why should he stay here then? I'm not sure he would want to play here without Talent. Even though of the coach who would take the team after Talent, but Dushibayev is an icon. He's the main reason players come to Kielce, and that's for me. If he will be gone from Kielce to Szeged or anywhere else, it will be the end of the whole project, and it will be the transfer that will put Kielce back like 10 or 15 years. Just before of the whole Venta and other Polish players who came to play for Kielce, just before that era.
Talk to us a little bit about Bogdan Venta. Of course, he is an ex player, an ex coach. He coached Flensburg, and he also coached Kielce. Obviously, coached the Polish national team as well. And then he turned politician. Is he the mayor of Kielce at the moment, or what's his official title?
Yeah, he's the mayor.
He's the mayor. So, what's the disagreement there with the club, with Bogdan? Because you'd feel like an ex-handball player, ex-handball coach as the mayor of Kielce, that's like a dream combination for the club, but somehow there seems to be a bit of a disagreement there. What's the exact disagreement? Or do we know the disagreement, or is it a bit hush-hush?
Yeah, there's a big disagreement between Venta and Servas, and I guess that this conflict arises through the years. And it's not official. I guess that no one will say that officially, but in my opinion, it started with the way Venta stepped down from the team. He was replaced by the Dushibayev. He was set to be the managing director then, I guess. But just a few weeks after that, he stepped down, and he just started his political career. And I guess there's some bad blood between Venta and Servas since then. And when he became mayor, in first few months everything was okay, but when the time of when the time in the year comes where Kielce make public their budget for the whole new year, I mean the city. There are always some talks from the Servas and the club that they got not enough money from the city. They compare themselves to the football team Corona, who's currently playing in Polish Ekstraklasa, so it's like the highest division. But they're the team who played in the second league and in the first league, so they're not like a top football team in Poland. But Kielce handball club got less money than them throughout the year. So that's the fact on which the club didn't agree with Venta. And Venta always was saying that the reason is because the club, the football club, the city is an owner of this club. But with a handball club, the Servas is an owner of the club. So that's the reason. And there were plenty of talks, plenty of meetings during last few years between them, and it came to the situation where Kielce went for the game versus Barcelona last autumn, and they decided to put a sticker on a Kielce's a city logo. I don't know how to.
Oh, on the logo on the jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
They put a sticker on it, so it was an idea to make Venta angry, I guess, and it was another part of the conflict. So after that, Venta decided to give Kielce handball team 0 zlotys. So for the whole 2023 in the budget. So it's a big conflict right now, and I know that there will be some meeting probably in the next week with Servas, with Venta, with other people from the city hall. But it's a very difficult situation because I guess that Bertus and Bogdan has their own opinions about the situation, and it's not easy for them to find a solution for this. I know that Venta said that he will give some money for the club, but only after some independent company will make an audit and check the finances of the club and all the contracts and etc. But the club refused to do this. So it's like they're holding a rope in their hands, and everybody's no one wants to I'm missing words. No one wants to
give in.
Yeah, exactly.
It is quite remarkable thinking that with Bogdan Venta's history in the sport, and of course he's also been a controversial figure as a player over the years when he switched allegiances to Germany as well. But surely he doesn't want to be the guy who's responsible for tearing it, like for letting this club, like Poland's great handball club, fall apart. And it feels like a little bit of, as you said, posturing, and nobody wants to give up. Also with with Dushabayev, with Talent Dushabayev, he's spoken so much about, you know, how he wants this club to be the club that he retires with, that he wouldn't go easily. So can you give us a little prediction on how you think it will go? Because it seems in some aspects that it could just be another one of these chapters where eventually there will be a solution that comes up. But in comparison to the Kielce that we saw in the last year or two, where they've been signing players for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years ahead in the future, that maybe that also is not realistic for them anymore. So what do you think the club will actually look like, say, by the time this summer comes around?
I hope that Dushabayev will stay. I hope the Talent Dushabayev will stay. Because as I said before, for me, his transfer to any other club or any other place will be the end of the Kielce's big era. So I hope that he will stay, and if he will stay, then the whole project will stay, and most of those players, big players who are now in Kielce's squad, will also stay. I guess that they will fund the money for the end of the season, till the end of the season, but I'm not sure they will have the money for next seasons. So it's not that easy. I also think that maybe one or two players will leave team. They will have to, because they have good offers, like Karalek to Barcelona is like almost done deal. Only Barcelona, the player, everybody only waits on the Kielce's decision. So if Kielce decide that, we need money for the Karalek transfer, so he will be gone there. Because Barcelona needs an line player to replace Fabregas, right? So it's really, I guess that it will happen, and maybe also the Remy Lee or somebody like that transfer will also happen. But I really, really hope that everything will somehow will end happily for the club and for the Polish handball, because you know that right now the handball in Poland is not in a good condition. We're in a really bad moment just after the World Championship here, with our team finishing 15th. We're just in a few days we probably will have a new national team coach. So there are a lot of changes. There are a lot of conversation about the future of the handball, and if Kielce's project will end, then it will be another huge blow for Polish handball, and I hope it won't happen.
We hope so too. I think we all want to see Kielce at the highest level. But thanks a lot for your time, Maciek, and enjoy the rest of your well-deserved holiday after World Championships, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for having me.
Take care, Maciek. Thank you. Thank you to Maciek Wojs for that. Some interesting aspects which I think we haven't really been able to read in the coverage. So it's, nice to hear from someone like this who is so deep in it, only has a certain amount of, space in his articles to write, but get a bit of color, get a bit of background in there. Alex, what was your takeaway from the conversation?
I think it's the big takeaway is that it does seem like all of this stems from this argument with the mayor, which is there's a lot of posturing here, and I don't know. A question to both of you maybe whether a club like Kielce, a professional sports club, should be getting funding from a city. Is that this is a choice for a city to, invest in local infrastructure for, grassroots sports, or giving money for Kielce to pay professional players, which is, I don't know. I think there's an imbalance there.
I think, I don't know, if we're looking at investment in sport generally, if we look at handball and a town like that, like Kielce, investing some of their money, taxpayer money into a sports club, if they decide to do that, I have no problem with that. When you compare that with football and some of the sports washing stuff we see with various other clubs, I think this is quite innocent. So I personally have no problem with Kielce wanting to invest their own money. But the problem maybe I have is Bogdan Venta maybe acting like a little bit of an ex-boyfriend to Kielce, the club, and kind of saying, oh, well, you got this flashy new Dutchman in who's spending loads of cash. And I can't help but feel like the way he acted on Twitter and the way he flashes around how he's spending and who he's signing. And I mean, that whole thing about it came a little of a joke online of how Kielce were signing players that any name that propped up, anyone who was 17, 18, where people were just saying on Twitter, like, oh, just give it like 6 months, he'll be signed for Kielce in no time. So it did feel a little bit heavy-handed sometimes. And I can understand why some people would maybe feel like they're going all in a bit too much. But as you said, Alex, in the interview itself, like it is an institution in Polish sport, and it would be such a shame for them to lose it. So I think it's time for Bogdan Venta to maybe just chill out a bit, support it, and they need to find a way, because handball without Kielce, it does lose its shine. And I don't particularly want to see, even though it was kind of exciting to hear Alex Dushabayev maybe going, or the Dushabayev trio going to Szeged. There was something exciting there to see something new. But when I thought about it longer term, I don't particularly want to see that. And I want to see Kielce continuing as a club. And I'd like to see them win the Champions League again. They came so close last season. It'd be so strange then to see them fall off a cliff, just like Varda fell off a cliff. And we don't need to see that again.
I fully agree. That's the last thing you want to see. And in terms of city supporting clubs, I'm pretty sure the people of Kielce would be happy to see the city and some of their taxpayer money go to the club. Like it is a club that have basically put Kielce on the map internationally. Like otherwise, we'd have no idea where this place is. There'd be nothing else that would really draw attention to it. And now they have something internationally in sport that people are proud of. And it is a common thing more further east than Poland, right? So particularly like Romania. Look at the Romanian clubs on the men's and women's side, particularly on the women's side. It's based 100% on the city running the club. Like that's how they pop up so quickly and sometimes disappear so quickly due to the local governments supporting and then a new person coming in and taking it away. So it's not an unusual thing, not also a sustainable thing, clearly, when it's so based on politics. But if it covers a little bit of the budget, I don't think that hurts. And it's only when they took away that bit of the budget that it's beginning to hurt. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe it's blown out of proportion a little bit is kind of a little bit of the takeaway for this. For me,
it seems like it for sure, and I think yes, they might lose Remily and Karolek, but they'll bring Branko Vujovic back from loan or something. That is still a top level player who is probably earning half as much as Remily, and they can populate a very good team.
Yeah.
So,
and Hassan Kada is joining next season, hopefully still. So
exactly.
Good news.
Let's see. The last point on this is, I wish Berta Servas would just do like a US style franchise move where the teams threaten the city and say, oh, we're just going to move this franchise to Warsaw
or Krakow,
somewhere else. It's like, we're going to bring the whole club to Krakow. We have a nice arena there. Let's just do it.
Imagine.
That would be a good move, I think. So, Bertus, if you're listening, just go for it.
Yeah, the Polish Pelicans, But Alex, you wanted to talk about transfers for a little bit. I think probably a good place to start would maybe be with transfers are kind of like movement news in terms of contracts and all that kind of stuff. So I think probably maybe if we want to quickly go over this, PSG is probably a good place to start. Dominic Mate coming back after his knee injury has made his PSG debut, scored 5 goals in the cup against Shakhtar. Or how do you say Shartes? Oh Jesus! Here we go. Shart.
That was a bit
37.
It's a bit too much short.
That's something else, I think.
A bit too hard on the R there. But good to see him back in action, though. Definitely 100%. Karabatic putting on a year onto his contract as well, and then Raul Gonzalez obviously signed up for two extra years. Would you be surprised by either of those, or did you expect them, or what's your feeling on those two?
I think it's a bit of a vote of confidence from the club in this team. So there was also talk about PSG kind of scaling back their handball division a little bit. But, Karabatic is on a lot of money. I'm sure he probably took a bit of discount to extend that 1 year. And there was talk about Raul Gonzalez leaving again because of this, let's say, project hitting a bit of a wall. So with Raul Gonzalez signing up, it feels like there is going to be a big future for PSG, that Raul Gonzalez himself is confident in that, which means that there's some confidence in the club. And it's just great for Karabatic. I think he talks about he wants to make it to Olympics and ride off into the sunset, and it's great that he can do that in PSG. Hopefully he stays injury free, makes the Olympics, and we'll see a glorious end to a fantastic career. So very happy for Karabatic there.
Thierry Omeyer stepping in to save the day, you could say. But sorry, bad joke. Anyway, another man who's back obviously from injury will be Stepancic, back from more or less, 3 years of random injuries. So he's back in action he was back in action for Szeged. That's good to see. I think something you pointed out on Twitter as well was Paul Valliera signing for
Barcelona
until 2026. Obviously signing from Granollers. Yeah, Granollers.
There's a great scene actually, because Barcelona played Granollers straight just after the World Championship. So again, one of these big games set up directly after World Championship to get some attention, but they played in front of a packed out arena in Granollers, 4,500 people, which is fantastic to see, and all of the fans gave a huge ovation to Paul Valliera. He was in the stands with all the players hugging him, all the fans hugging him. So it was a nice moment. I think it's a nice move for him, for Barca. Hopefully he can develop, and it could be a big move for Spain as a whole, as a handball nation, to get a new star into that backcourt, get another player who can develop at Barcelona. So pretty exciting, I think.
With Magdeburg, obviously, there's another big... Well, today with Magnus Saugstrom obviously being injured, and then with Magnusson with his injury, they did sign Vladan Lipovina pretty much directly afterwards from Wetzlar. I mean, they might now want to can they make another sign-in for the line? I'm not really sure what this situation is. The whole idea with the handball window, it's a little bit vague sometimes, but it's something with that. They're two big losses for Magdeburg, aren't they?
Especially Saugstrup. He plays all the time for Magdeburg. Their backup line player is Lucas Meister, a Swiss player who gets a bit of time, but he's nowhere near the level of Saugstrup. They'll need to get someone in, but the market is a little bit tight for good line players right now. There's not many going around. Maybe Luis Frade can find himself his new home that he's wishing for, or at least Barcelona are wishing that he goes to a new home. Yeah,
a new pasture for more red cards somewhere else in a different division.
I don't know if Luis Frade is really built for the Bundesliga, though. He's nice and comfortable in Asvel.
Well, they have a couple of players there that have been, that could be maybe turned into line players, like Piotr Krapkowski. I've never seen him come off the bench this season for Magdeburg. I know he's a defender and left back. Marko Bezjak as well. He's not exactly the backcourt player he used to be. Maybe he can get a job done for them on the line as well. But no matter what,
tough to win a Bundesliga with that.
Yeah, but when you consider Saugstrup as Bundesliga Player of the Month, November and December, this is a disaster. Yeah. Any other transfer movement news that have popped up
from France? There's been some nice movement from Montpellier. Again, nice to see them stepping up a little bit and showing confidence in the team. They signed Ahmed Hesham, so Dodo, from Nîmes for next season. He's an exciting player. He didn't really have a good World Championship. He was injured for a while previously, but he's an exciting young Egyptian, so he adds to their pretty heavy playmaker collection. But Dodo can play left back as well. And they also signed Sebastian Karlsson from Seehof, a nice right winger. They'll still need to find a replacement for Desca. Although they have Lucas Pellis there. But it's a nice little squad that Montpellier have put together. Scuba came in there to kind of bolster it for this season. They have Villemont, who's still getting better and better. So I think it looks good for Montpellier going forward. And the goalkeeper swap between Magdeburg and Benfica. Sergei Hernandez going to Magdeburg next season, and Mike Jensen going to Benfica. So slightly weird swap there. I think both players are relatively equal in their ability, so doesn't really make too much sense to me.
I wonder with that, like, probably Mike Jensen at the beginning of this season figured he was going to be the number one, right? Because he did play a big role for Magdeburg last season in the competition with Yannick Gren. But then Nicola Portner's come in and he showed it again in the cup today. Like he's really settled into life with Magdeburg brilliantly. He's a really good goalkeeper. We knew that already, but something really fits with him in this team. So maybe Mike Jensen has just been like, I need to get into a team where I'm going to start. That's a good opportunity for him to play at a good European level. And maybe with Hernandez, he's happy to get to the Bundesliga and will kind of be satisfied as the number 2 for now. So it could be an exchange of players that both will be happy with the move, even though there's not too much of a level difference.
Also, hold up. I have huge breaking news.
What?
Huge breaking news.
This better be big.
The EHF Champions League website has just updated their statistics. So you can now click into the Champions League, go into player statistic, and check out the top scorers, top 7-meter scorers, top field scorers, assists, scorer points, goalkeeper saves, and goalkeeper 7 meters.
Wow.
All on the website in one place.
Saves?
That is...
Oh my God.
We can even see saves. There's even team statistics on the website. You can check the highest scoring teams, the best goalkeeping teams. This is a revelation. This is the biggest news that has come out of handball in many, many years. I'm excited.
Big time. So quickly, just looking through here. Top assist giver. Who do you think it is, Brian?
Top assist giver. Let me
as
just...
As he goes on to hfcl.eurohandball.com.
Oh, I think is he Dutch? By any chance?
He's also the top
Luke
scorer
Steins.
of points. The goals and assists. Simon Pitlick, number 2 there. So, yeah. And the biggest saver, well, it should be no surprise given his percentages at the World Championship, Tobias Tullin at 131 saves, just ahead of
That's a bit
Andy
of a surprise.
Wolf. Yeah. Big times. That's
cool.
Nice. Big times, big change. I'm glad for, I know there are certain people at the EHF who would have been pushing for that for many, many years. So I'm glad that they're finally getting it done. So congratulations to them.
Champions League is back. Games already on the 8th of February. So big games coming up. We'll have lots of coverage of that and the leagues and everything going on in handball over the next couple of weeks.
The women's Champions League group phase comes to an end as well. So maybe after that, we'll take a look at how things are set and how the race to Budapest is going. Right, until then, thank you to Maciek, who joined us today. Thank you to Brian.
Thank you. And thank you to Alex.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chris.